Hello everyone. Welcome to the Mole Hole. I'm your host, Chriz, aka the Mole, and joining me is James Phoenix,
Oh,
Marcus Shadow,
Yo.
and today instead of reviewing stuff and all that, we decided to just do like a discussion, and this is a first of a few discussions. And this one's all about the representation of females in the franchise Power Rangers. That includes marketing, like competitions, toys, the show itself, and just general stuff like that. So, yeah. Okay, so I'm guessing I'm going to start. And I'm going to say that, yeah, I don't think they've been represented well. I mean, if you look across the fandom, I don't think this can be fixed by a simple make a female Red Ranger, like some people have said, because before we make him a Red Ranger, how about we actually make him some characters?
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, I don't think they've been represented well. That's my first thought before I go into this, but how about you guys?
Well, I've heard, seen and heard many female rangers speak about this very issue a little bit, at least, like on panels and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And from what I understand, it seems the general consensus is that they felt that their characters were characters, and that they were good characters for, excuse me, for girls and young women and stuff. Now, it's possible that what they saw in the characters and what was written for the characters isn't what ended up on the screen, because as many of just Power Rangers actors in general will attest to and have attested to in the past, is that oftentimes they don't watch the show because they don't have time to watch the show.
It's also
Yeah.
Yeah, there is that. It's also possible they just didn't want to flat out. It's also possible they didn't want to come out and say, "Yeah, I was a part of something that held back my gender."
Yeah,
I
but
don't
at the
see, I
same
don't see that being good for their career.
no, but at the same time, many of them that I've seen are pretty honest people, and they will give an honest answer, even if it's not an out-and-out direct answer. It will still be honest, and it would be dishonest to basically say, yeah, Saban can do no wrong if he took your gender and basically kicked its ass.
There is that. What does Jim feel?
I certainly agree. I think there are the female characters in some seasons is stronger than in other seasons. I do agree, but at the same time, yes, the female characters are usually have lesser character development and are usually underrepresented compared to their male counterparts.
Yep. And example number A. As I pointed out when we reviewed this, the character notes.
Yeah.
Jason was a martial arts instructor at Ernie's Juice Bar and Gym. Now, Trini does have about her fear of heights being hers. Billy built the Zords Power Ranger Communications, right? Billy built the Power Ranger Communications. Zach developed his own special light fighting style, Hip Hop Credo. Kimberly has, as you can see there on her note, local bully Skull has a crush on her. Literally, her only note worth mentioning is someone found her hot. Yeah. That's not a good note.
No, not particularly.
And while I may mention numbers and letters, which I know Jim doesn't like, but number 2 would be basically the fact when it comes to the Power Ranger contest, Greatest Ranger, yeah, there was a load of females oddly not on there.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And I understand there was a load of guys some guys not on there too, but when you weigh it up of predominantly male characters, is it the competition? It doesn't matter if a couple have been cut. The fact most females were cut makes it look really bad.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, if you haven't noticed, there's not that many female Ranger keys, period.
Yep, that was going to be the next example, which I brought up during the toy review with Jim.
He did.
Power Ranger keys. You can get the female Super Mega Force ones only because they actually happen to fit in one weapon, and you kind of need them. Besides that, there's the MMPR ones in a limited edition set, which is meant to be really hard to get a hold of. And there's Ninja Storm Tori, who was a great character, but as a whole, that's not exactly perfect representation of all the Rangers. I think there may be a couple of others, but there's a load of females just flat out missing.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, why? And I don't understand why this happens. It's like we were talking before this of how lazy Saban must have been with names of Megaforce, Noah, Jake, Troy, all pretty unique names for Power Rangers. The females, Emma and Gia, which is so close to Mia and Emily from Samurai. It's like, really? Did you just add a letter on the end of one and just change one on the other? Really? And you're like, done.
Yep, well, got nothing on that one.
Yep.
Brandon, is there any other examples you guys want to mention?
I don't know. I think Saban and Saban Brands has tried to do some good stuff by women throughout Power Rangers. In fact, I believe that Saban has actually done one thing that even Sentai has yet to do, and actually give us a female leader of the Power Rangers.
Arguably.
No, fact. Delphine was the leader of the Alien Rangers.
Yeah, I say arguably because if you're on about the Alien Rangers, they were like a mini-series afterthought group that were like for like what was it, like a chunk like that, and it's largely ignored by the fans and Saban of just going Mighty Morphin Zeo. They rarely mention the Alien Rangers except for now and again.
Yeah, but she still existed. They were still a Power Rangers team. They were in the show. They are canon. Therefore, it is canon. Saban gave us a female leader of the Power Rangers.
They did.
And technically, they do count that quite often, because if they don't count Alien Rangers, they don't.
Did you just turn off your
It is
video?
always counted.
I believe Jim broke up then, and he's turned off his video.
No, I haven't. My video's
his
still on.
video's
It's
still
right
on.
here.
Oh, when you started to speak then, just the X-Pound logo came up as you were breaking up a bit.
That was
It
weird.
might be his internet.
Now, but anyway, like I was saying, yeah, basically when they do the 20 years thing, they always count Alien Rangers as the representative of one of the seasons of Power Rangers early on, in order to give them the total of 20 years. So they always do count the Alien Rangers there, and in the course of the big DVD set I have, Alien Rangers is its own disc, so they do count it representing as a season, quote unquote.
Oh, yeah, I said they do count as a season, they do represent it now and again. But as a whole, in terms of the marketing, and in terms of like how the fandom thinks, because of how it's marketed, it's MMPR, Zeo. Very rarely do people mention the Alien Rangers, because they were just sort of like there as a miniseries. And they did exist,
yeah,
but they didn't exist well enough. And when they tried to do a whole season with a female leader, they gave us Jen in Time Force, who spent about 4 episodes being leader, 5 episodes, maybe a little bit more, and then suddenly it was, oh, I'm now dating the Red Ranger. I must bend over backwards and do exactly as he says. He's now the leader, and it's like, really? Oh.
It wasn't that she was always dating the Red Ranger. It was just a different Red Ranger.
Yeah, but she wasn't dating Wes, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, and it wasn't all of a sudden she's dating Wes. It actually took several episodes before she actually even accepted him.
It took several episodes for them to accept him, but it was before the halfway point, and the second they accepted him, she even became more submissive and back in the back burner and let Wes do all the leadering and felt like a completely different character. Like they just used her for like a stopgap. Like Wild Force, it was heavily implied like the Yellow Ranger was meant to be the leader in the first episode. Cole comes along and boom, he's now the leader. And she just becomes there.
Yeah, well, unless they put a female in the red role until such time as Sentai, actually gives a female Red Ranger, unless they put a female in the red. Well,
You're counting the Alien Rangers, she counts.
Yeah, but unless you actually put a female in the red role, that's the way it's always going to feel because Toei's going to require, or not Toei necessarily, but because they use the Sentai footage. Unfortunately, in the Sentai footage, Red is the one in the lead. If you look at the footage, there's no mistaking it. Red is the leader of the team when they're on the field. So unfortunately, unless Red is a female, the female characters are never going to really look like the leaders when they're morphed. And that's just reality.
Which is obviously bullshit, because Alien Rangers.
Yep.
Yeah, well...
There's that. There's also the fact we're not out to talk about just making one red, as I mentioned.
I know.
It's not. We just want them to be good characters, and it's like they don't. It's like you get good characters who are red all the time. In like the side characters, like Noah's had great development in Super Samurai, especially like with the blue sword, with swords and all that. He's had great development. The females, the pink one's just sort of there. I mean, she's cool and all, but she's just sort of there. And the yellow one, much like the yellow one, she's sort of there too. And the only thing good with her is the Black Ranger wants to date her. And the Black Ranger himself has had more development.
Mm-hmm.
And you also mentioned the red suit, which, as Jim pointed out, Samurai. They gave us a red female in Samurai. From what you mentioned, in the return episode... in the Sentai from Go Kaiju, whatever it was, it was the female Red Ranger that came back to represent it.
They usually bring her back.
And what does Saban do? He films new footage and makes it Jaden.
Yep, pretty much.
It's like females don't matter in Power Rangers, and it's annoying. For me personally, I find it annoying.
Which is fair enough, but that's not totally inaccurate from the Sentai, though, because in the Sentai, the male Red Ranger, Takeru, is the one who ends up being the leader, leading the team to destroy the main bad guy at the end.
Yeah, but she gets representation, though, because she's the representative of the series as a whole after the series is over. She's not the only one, but she is the Red Ranger representative from that series, I should say. Yeah. Some of the other characters come back, too, but...
Yeah, that's what I was referring to in that instant, Jim.
Fair enough.
From what Marcus said in the episode in Super Mega Force where Jaden's there with the mentor on my bike, that should have been Lauren in the Japanese one. So it's like, wait, so they redid the footage and just made it a guy?
Yeah, and condensed it into one episode, because that was a two-part episode in Go Kaiju where she actually fights, despite the fact she's got no powers because it's been taken from her.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Which I didn't mind the condensing of the episode because it felt cohesive. It was just a case of it's like, really, why aren't you representing females? Like I mentioned, I have a little niece and she used to like Power Rangers. Yeah, she doesn't want that morpher that's just come out, a new one, the one with the keys and stuff, because most of her favorites aren't there.
Mm-hmm.
And as a result, she's now not liking Power Rangers. To the point now that when Power Rangers is on, my nephew watches it. My niece just walks out the room, goes in the other room and watches something on DVD or Netflix. She's literally done with the series as a result.
Mm-hmm.
And personally, I think that's a shame.
It is.
It certainly is. Unfortunately, it kind of ties into the fact of what Saban perceives to be the target audience of their program, which is boys 4 to 8.
Right. It's actually kind of interesting that this is the trend, because it's like obviously somebody here is lying to somebody because like I said, if you speak to or listen to the Ranger actors themselves speak about filming the show, and especially the actresses speaking about their characters on the show and about women in the show in general, like I said at the top of this discussion, they see a lot of good things coming out of it, and they see a lot of strong characters and stuff coming out of it. But what Saban is apparently putting out in terms of marketing type stuff, in terms of the decisions he's made or his company has made, in terms of toys and in terms of, like I said, marketing, goes against what his actors and actresses are saying. So I'm kind of wondering. It seems like there's a disconnect there, and I'm wondering why. Because I can't imagine that the actors and actresses would outright lie about that stuff.
Yep.
But at the same time, I can't imagine they'd be so blind to the fact that this is happening.
Yeah, I don't know.
And he looks bored as hell.
I'm not bored. I'm just listening to what you're saying, and yeah, it's true. So it's just a matter of, I think, maybe it's just that, when you're starting in the show like that, yeah, you don't know someone to watch it, so they might not know what the end product is, and there might be a lot of stuff that was filmed before in relation to their characters that got cut, didn't make it into the show, and they don't even know it. It's just the way it is when you're an actor.
Yep. It's like,
and if Saban is going to aim it toward their particular target, which, by the way, I have this here. Take a look at this. This is the you can't cut it off. Okay, we can't automate says the voice of the target audience. Oh, that's going to be the whole image.
All new series premieres February 2015.
Yeah,
there's a thing on the bottom that talks about the target audience, and it shows that the target. It says right here the target audience is boys 4 and 8. And there's even a big thing on the bottom next to the Ranger says #1 boys live action series. It even says it right on there, so it's not like,
And if Mole's actually trying to say something, he's not saying it.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Now
okay,
I thought
the microphone was muted because I was talking before, and every time I was, no one was listening. But yeah, I was saying the two things I was saying was, one, the #1 boys show thing was a complete lie, because that's been proven other shows outsold it. And other stuff really did outsell it to the point of why you listening to stuff as #1. And two, if it's just a boys show, why did they release, what was it, $100 or $200, whatever the hell it was, gold-plated morphers? Really? Does kid want a $200 gold-plated morpher? Or, if people are going to say, well, that's just for the older collector, why not make female keys for the older collector of $8 keys, or £8 keys as they are?
Yeah, I agree.
Well, as Marcus has mentioned in the past, it might theoretically be the possibility, depending on how the season ends up, with the forthcoming second set of Super Mega Force toys, we're likely going to release a large chest that contains all the keys that was seen in Go Kaiser, which will likely pop up at Super Mega Force somewhere. And it's entirely plausible that they will sell the chest with a complete set of all the keys that will have all the females in it, and that will be the entire spend to get people to spend, I'd say, $150, $200 to buy the chest full of keys.
Yeah, which is kind of ridiculous and goes into the female thing of, so basically if girls want the keys to morph, they have to wait, or A, buy all the keys and then spend more money on with their parents, or B, just wait until the promise of this chest comes with their keys. That's kind of crappy.
Yeah. No, they should be releasing all the keys, and they're not, and I don't know why.
Yeah. It's like Jim bought a Zord, or got given a Zord, or whatever. He got a toy Zord, I believe it was, of the what was it, Sky Ship thing from Super Mega Force, the red ship.
Yeah.
What key came with it? Which it makes sense, but what key came with it?
Well, it's actually the whole Megazord. It's all 5 pieces. It's to put together Megazord. But yeah, it came with the a red Super Mega Force key.
Who came with the morpher? Why couldn't they have made that a pink or yellow one or something like that? One that you wouldn't get, because when you buy the morpher, you get that key. They literally give you that key, which means if you're buying the key to put in the morpher, you've got that key. Yet they're going to release more of the male Red Ranger than they actually are of any of the female ones at all, to the point where it's like, really? I don't get the logic there.
That's true.
It's Saban. Does he deal in logic?
Sometimes, but like I said, for the purposes of this discussion, it's just...
The thing is, I really don't think it's Saban himself. I think he gets too much of the blame for it, which that's going to happen when you're head of the company. I mean, Vince gets blamed for everything that goes wrong in the WWE, same principle. But I feel like just reading the things I've read from Saban about, even in the, like I said, I have that DVD where there's a book with a little split from him in it and other different things. It sounds like he really does love and care about both the Japanese show and the American show. And it's like, he wanted to bring this show to the American audiences so everybody could enjoy it. And it seems like maybe this kind of thing where he is blissfully unaware of what the people in his company might be doing in terms of how the market is doing everything. And yeah, he's probably checking in now and again and seeing what's going on with it. But I feel like maybe he doesn't understand that. If he does know, he doesn't understand what it is that's wrong with the product.
Well, maybe he should actually go to his conventions once in a while, because I have yet to see him at a convention.
Yeah, I would also
say
with that situation, it'd be basically a case of famous quote of all that's needed for evil to triumph is for good people to do nothing. The fact of the matter is, he's turning a blind eye to the point where, which is slightly, it's not saying this is the same thing before people say that, but I'm saying using this as a case for it, to the point that in Zio, David Yost ended up walking off the set and quitting because he was being harassed for being a homosexual. And Saban's response to that is, who cares? We're getting next season. We're getting new people next season. Who cares? He's not exactly known for equality or making really racist characters. It's like, yeah, he's not known for equality. He just wants money.
It's him, though, for the whole thing about the characters, is that was the 90s. All characters were an ethnically diverse group of really cultural stereotypes. I mean, the Power Rangers, the Planeteers, any team you can think of pretty much had somebody from, of every race or from every country, and they were all kind of stereotypical. I mean, that wasn't new.
Yeah, but when he still does that... But it's just a case, and I'm not even arguing with the whole thing of, we made a Black Ranger black and an Asian yellow. Boo! It's like, no. That I have no problem with, because I can believe that may be coincidental, especially considering the pilot had a different actress playing Trini who wasn't Asian. Mm-hmm. I can buy that. I'm not saying that. I'm just talking about the characters in general. But it's like the females, like in MMPR. As much as I like Kat, for example, how often was she just there for Tommy to save?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, actually, to the point Catherine Sutherland has actually herself referenced that very fact.
Yeah, and that gets ridiculous. Or how about Tanya?
Yeah.
Who, when Tanya came around, wasn't at all written exactly like Aisha.
Yeah. Yeah, I just remember that, because I remember that thing of the cat, because there was a panel where they were asked to say a quote of theirs, or a favorite quote of theirs from the show. And they went down the panel, each throwing a quote out, so he said, it's morphin' time, so I said something else. And it got down to Kat Sutherland, and she goes, and, you gotta get Sutherland, she goes, well, it was just about the only thing I gotta get my Australian accent. Crikey. Well, it was just about the only thing I have a set on Power Rangers. Tommy!
Yeah. But I will say, which is kind of weird, and I think I actually do blame Saban and the company for it, for one reason.
Mm-hmm. Yes, the company you should. I'm not saying necessarily the dude.
Yeah, the company I'm going to blame for one big, obvious reason.
Okay.
The best females we've had on Power Rangers, Tori, Kira, the ones on SPD, or basically every one of the Disney series, is to their credit, had females that were equal character development or equal characters to them. To the point, even though Mystic Force was the Nick show, the females were still represented as much as the other people on that show that weren't Nick.
Well, there's a very good reason for that. That's because Disney, if you haven't noticed, 90% of what Disney does is already geared toward girls and women, so they know how to cater to that audience.
They do, but I'm just saying, it's for the Disney era, we had some great females. Then we go straight to Samurai, and I'm sorry, Mia and Emily aren't that good.
Yeah. This is true.
But I don't know what everyone else thinks about the Disney females versus the Saban females, because that had to come up eventually.
Yeah.
I think there's certainly a case there. There were some female characters in Saban that I actually did really like that I thought were on par with the Disney um, females, and then there were some females on the Disney seasons that I absolutely hated, like your favorite Tori. I did not like that character.
Yeah, but to be fair, she was represented as well as the boys to the point where she went to an alternate world and saved time.
Yeah, pretty much.
True.
Yeah. Although all fairness, same could be said about Kimberly, because Kimberly went back in time and saved time.
Yeah, but who ended up helping her the most? It was the male rangers and the white stranger.
True, but she was the one who said, "Okay, she had to get make these guys want to fight. She had to go to the command center and find Zordon and Al and get the power coins and avoid too much pink energy, because pink energy is very dangerous. And then go back to the town and then make them the Power Rangers and then fight everybody off."
She did, but I said compare what Kimberly did to the way Tori did it. If you compare the two, as actually comparing them, Jim, instead of doing that, Kimberly went back in time. Then they all morphed, and only the males were the most effective ones of the team. Again, the ones that were just Rangers compared to her. Tori ended up allying villains, getting them on her side, and leading like a war, and just being awesome doing it, and feeling like a strong character throughout the whole series. To the point she was actually probably the most competent on her team. Besides Cal.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, what the hell with her?
Yeah.
Which is a shame, because I know obviously Disney can write good females, but why can't Saban? There's no reason he couldn't. And I know he says it's geared towards everyone, but also it's geared towards boys. But look at MMPR.
Mm-hmm.
When I was in school with MMPR, girls like Power Rangers, boys like Power Rangers, everyone at that age group like Power Rangers, to the point they even released 2 Barbie dolls of Kimberly and Trini, I believe it was.
I've seen those online.
Yeah, and you get to change their outfits. They did it as a girl's proper toy. Brilliant. And it comes to, and skip forward to now, where it's meant to be as represented Mary Morphin as he claimed, and females get completely shafted.
Yep. Although a side thing, that's also not necessarily Saban, because the toys come from Bandai, who basically have end-all complete rights on the toys. So I don't think even Saban not to release toys. I think they have a decision on what toys they make and release. Same with the Toei series.
Yeah, which could be kind of true, and I think it's weird because when it comes to the keys, which hey, I understand that I wanted these, but we have a Phantom Ranger key and a Titanium Ranger key, which I believe were on. You don't have to keep doing the hand things, Jim, but yeah. We have both the keys that I believe the Japanese ones didn't have those keys. Fair enough. But we've got keys for 2 Rangers that were extra Rangers, or one didn't even have an actual character, much of the Phantom one. 2 like extra Rangers-ish that were unique to Power Rangers. What about all the females? You could have easily made the female keys. You had the molds.
I would imagine that directive probably came down from Saban Brands. I would imagine it wasn't Bandai, because as you pointed out, Jim, Bandai is also in charge of the Japanese ones, the Sentai ones, which have all the female keys. I would imagine, from Bandai's perspective, stop looking bored, but from Bandai's perspective, they'd be like, why not use all of them? We have all the molds, and you'll make money.
But the thing is, Marcus, they don't. What you have to realize about the American toys is that they're not the same as the Japanese ones. The American and American keys are substantially smaller than their Japanese counterparts, so they would have had to make all new molds for all those Rangers. Now, granted, the mold is the same for all the keys, except for the little end plastic piece. They're just painting them over differently, but still, it might have been a money thing. I don't know.
Okay, but the other flip side of that is they're a toy company. If they can produce more female toys, which would generate more profit, and therefore they would make more money, they'd do it in a heartbeat. One thing I can say about Bandai is they like money.
Yeah. And no matter how you slice it, it comes back to Saban Brands.
Yep.
I disagree because I think that Bandai releases the toys. They're the toy people. I don't think Saban Brand is able to tell them what toys to release because, as has been documented in the past, Bandai has released toys that they made up that Saban was then forced to incorporate into the show.
He was, but I think it's like maybe it's 6 of one, half a dozen of another. Like I said, to be fair, one thing I know about Bandai is they love making money. This is evident by the fact how many Dragon Ball Z games did they completely rush out after they gave it away from Dimps to, was it Spike who ruined the series? It's a case they rushed them out every other year, and the only difference was now we got Frieza Soldier, and it's like they love making money. Hell, look at the action card game. They love making money. They know that making these keys would make them money. I don't see why they wouldn't do it unless Saban's turned around and said don't, or if A, Saban turned around and said don't, or B, maybe they said not to, but it's really unlikely. I mean, look at the Greatest Ranger competition. Saban ran a contest to see who was going to be the Greatest Ranger. Left off all the females, and the winning ones turned into keys that were then put into a set. Like, I believe that's why we have the Red Ranger now with the chest shield, because they plan to put him in the normal morpher. So as a result, if they removed the females from a contest, it would have guaranteed the females a key if they'd won.
One did. Jed made the final cut.
Yeah, but she wasn't in the final three, was she? The ones that got that set, legendary set as a result with the green, white, red.
It was the final 5, and I believe she was one of the 5, I think. I could be wrong.
Yeah, but they still removed loads from that.
Yeah, they didn't have many females in that competition at all.
And they didn't.
The MP White, Phantom Ranger, Titanium Ranger, and Pink Time Force.
Does he sound like he's breaking up to you, Jeff?
Yes, quite a bit.
Okay, and does his video keep turning into the round X-Pound logo?
No, it just goes black. I don't even see the logo.
On my end, it goes black with the X-Pound logo when he talks sometimes. Fair enough.
Did you hear me?
Yeah,
we heard some of you. Yeah, you read off what they were.
Yeah,
like I said, yeah, red and white MMPR, Phantom, Titanium, and Pink Time Force.
Yeah, it's like I said, how many females were actually removed from the competition, though, or weren't even allowed to be voted on, Jim?
Most of them.
Mm-hmm.
Which people always talk about what the Power Rangers need. I think they need a strong female characters again. And I'm not saying they need to be the leaders or they need to be red or anything. They just need to be decent characters so females can get behind them. Because hell, I'll be honest, 9 times out of 10, my favourite for the series is never the Red Ranger.
Yep, I think they need someone in charge who actually cares about women.
Yep. Cares about women and minorities.
Yep.
Well, Judge Chip Lin is in charge again, and he's the one who gave us Time Force with the strong character of Jen, who the fans obviously still connect with, having given her a key to this day. So maybe we'll be in luck. I mean, we've already seen that of the characters that we already know who the Rangers are for next season for Dino Charge, and there's only one female because of Toei, but still that the Camille Hyde, the new is all the group that's out there so far, and seems like she's going to be. And she's a gymnast. She's a great athlete. It seems like she's going to be a really good ranger.
Yeah, the one that gave us Jen, who, as I pointed out earlier, from before the halfway point, became completely a forgettable character once Wes was leader.
And I wasn't talking about head of the show either. I was talking about running Saban brands, period. Because regardless if Saban himself cares about women or not, it's obviously he doesn't care about them enough to care about what his company is doing.
Yep.
So it's either he's the one giving the directives and he knows everything and just doesn't give a shit, period, or, as Mole put, he's so blissfully unaware he should not be in charge of the company.
Yeah, which I will say there is one good thing, though.
What's that?
If they want the film to be a success, the reimagining movie, I don't see them doing the reimagining movie with completely crap female characters that are completely forgotten. Although, to be fair, Frozen did the same thing with male characters. But I believe they should make all the characters in that good, so people want to keep seeing the sequels and care about these characters, because that's what films need.
Not if Saban has his hands in it.
But I may just be getting my hopes up with that one.
I don't know.
I
Like I said, Saban is such a recluse.
I don't know if Jim's still paying attention. It looks like he's looking stuff up.
Yeah.
I'm paying attention.
But anyway, like I said, I don't know what the truth is, because Saban obviously doesn't care about the franchise as much as he says he does, because he's such a fucking recluse. He never shows up. He never says anything, and therefore people never get the opportunity, especially the fans never get the opportunity to ask him, hey, what's up with all the women hate? What's up with all the minority hate? He never gets a chance to defend himself, and it's like, okay, so do you not care about your franchises? Do you not care about how your company is run?
Which is
all you care about is the bottom line? Really? That's not a way to run a company.
Yeah, which is fair enough. I'll say I'm going to wrap up here because we seem to be going back around. But like we said, what do you out there listening to this, watching this? What do you think about how females have been represented in Power Rangers? What do you think's to blame? Leave us a comment, leave us a thought, let us know. I was your host, Chriz, aka The Mole, and thank you for joining me, Jim and Marcus.
Problem?
And time to take us out. See ya.